"It hurts. Let's try again tonight," the virgin bride begged. But what the rancher did for hours. The young bride stepped down from the old wooden wagon and felt the ground beneath her boots for the first time. The land stretched wide and open, far beyond what she had ever seen before. Tall grass moved like waves under the soft wind, and the sky seemed larger than any roof she had ever lived under. She held her small bag close to her chest, her fingers tight around the worn cloth handle. Everything felt new, and everything felt heavy at the same time. The rancher stood a few steps away, watching her with quiet care. He was not a man of many words, but his eyes showed patience and calm. He had lived on this land for many years, and he knew how the wide spaces could make a person feel small. He walked closer and offered to take her bag. She hesitated for a moment, then handed it to him. It was a small act, but it made her feel like she was not alone anymore. They walked together toward the small house that stood near the barn. The house was simple, built from old wood that had seen many seasons. The porch creaked under their steps, and a single chair sat near the door. She noticed the little things, like a faded flower pot near the wall and a lantern hanging from a nail. These small details made the place feel lived in, not just a place to stay, but a place to belong. Inside, the air smelled of clean wood and warm light. Sun rays came through the small window, landing on the table in the middle of the room. The rancher set her bag down near the bed and stepped back, giving her space. She stood still for a moment, unsure of where to go or what to do. This house was now her home, but it did not yet feel like one. Her thoughts drifted back to the day she left her family. Her mother's hands had trembled as she tied the ribbon in her hair. Her father had stood tall but silent, his eyes full of pride and worry. She had smiled, trying to be brave, but her heart had felt like it was breaking into small pieces. Now, standing in this quiet house, those feelings returned, strong and sharp. The rancher noticed her eyes grow wet. He did not ask questions. Instead, he walked to the table and poured 2 cups of water from a small jug. He handed one to her, and she took it with a soft, "Thank you." They sat down across from each other, the table between them like a gentle line that gave both of them space to breathe. She took a small sip and looked around the room. "It's very quiet here," she said softly. He nodded. "It is, but quiet can be a good thing. You can hear your own thoughts. You can hear the wind. You can hear the world around you." She thought about his words. Back in her old home, there was always noise. Voices, footsteps, doors opening and closing. Here, the silence felt strange, but also peaceful in a way she had never known. After a while, he stood up and told her he would show her the ranch. They stepped outside again, and the sun felt warm on her face. He pointed to the barn, where horses moved slowly inside their stalls. She had seen horses before, but never this close. One of them lifted its head and made a soft sound, as if greeting her. He showed her how to hold out her hand, slow and calm. The horse sniffed her fingers, and she laughed softly when it tickled. That small moment made her feel lighter, like some of the fear inside her had drifted away. They walked along a fence that stretched far into the land. He told her how he built it himself, piece by piece, after a strong storm had knocked the old one down. He spoke about the long days and the sore hands, but also about the pride he felt when it stood tall again. She listened closely, seeing the care he put into everything around him. As they walked, she began to talk about her own life. She told him about the small garden she used to help her mother with, how she loved watching the seeds grow into something strong and green. She spoke about her younger siblings and how they used to run through the fields, laughing until they fell into the grass. Her voice shook at times, but he listened without interrupting, letting her share her memories at her own pace. They stopped near a large tree that gave shade to a patch of ground. He said it was his favorite place to sit when he needed to think. She looked up at the branches and imagined him there, alone, watching the sky change colors as the day ended. The thought made her feel closer to him, like she was beginning to understand the life he had lived before she arrived. When they returned to the house, the sun was lower in the sky. He started to prepare a simple meal. She offered to help, even though she did not know where anything was. He showed her where the bowls and plates were kept, and together they set the table. It felt good to do something together, even something as small as placing cups and napkins. They ate in quiet comfort. The food was simple but warm and filling. She felt a sense of peace she had not expected. The day had been long, but it had also been gentle in a way that surprised her. After the meal, they sat on the porch and watched the sky turn orange and pink. The wind moved through the grass, and the world seemed to slow down. She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling both tired and calm. "I was very scared when I came here," she admitted. He looked at her, his expression kind. "I know. I was too." That surprised her. She had not thought of him being afraid. He seemed so steady, so sure of himself. "This land can be lonely," he continued, "but it doesn't have to be. Not anymore." His words stayed with her. She realized that this new life was not just something she had to face alone. They were both stepping into something unknown together. As night fell, the stars began to appear, bright and clear in the wide sky. She had never seen so many before. She felt small under them, but not in a bad way. It made her feel like she was part of something larger, something that went beyond her fear and her worries. When they went back inside, she stood near the window for a moment, looking out at the dark land. The rancher lit the lantern, filling the room with a soft glow. He told her she could rest, that tomorrow would be another day to learn and grow. She nodded and placed her bag near the bed. As she lay down, she listened to the quiet sounds of the night. The wind, the distant call of an animal, the soft creak of the house. None of it felt scary anymore. It felt like the start of a story she had not yet read, a story she was now part of. Her eyes slowly closed, and her thoughts settled. The fear she had carried with her all day began to fade. In its place, a small seed of hope took root. She did not know what the future would bring, but she knew one thing for sure: she was not facing it alone, and that made all the difference. Morning came slowly over the ranch, like a soft promise. Pale light slipped through the thin curtains and touched the wooden floor. The young bride opened her eyes and listened. The house was quiet, but it was not empty. Somewhere outside a bird called out, and the wind moved gently across the land. She lay still for a moment, trying to remember where she was. Then it all came back to her: the wide fields, the simple house, the rancher who had welcomed her with calm and patience. She sat up on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. Her boots rested near the wall, clean and ready. She put them on slowly, tying the laces just like her mother had taught her. That small memory made her smile, even as her chest felt tight with the weight of change. Well, at Todd, when she stepped into the main room, she saw the rancher already awake. He stood near the window looking out at the land as if he was checking on it the way someone checks on an old friend. He turned when he heard her steps. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," she replied, her voice soft but steady. He had set a simple breakfast on the table: bread, a small bowl of fruit, and 2 cups of warm drink that smelled comforting. She sat down, and they ate in quiet peace. The silence did not feel heavy. It felt like a shared moment, something they both understood without needing to fill it with words. After they finished, he asked if she wanted to see more of the ranch. She nodded. There was still so much she did not know, and she wanted to learn. They stepped outside, and the morning air felt cool and fresh. The sun was low, painting the sky with light gold. They walked toward the barn first. Inside, the horses moved gently, their hooves making soft sounds on the ground. The rancher showed her how to brush one of them. He guided her hand, slow and careful. She felt the warmth of the animal under her touch and laughed when it leaned closer, as if enjoying the attention. "This one likes you," he said with a small smile. "That makes me happy," she replied, surprised by how true it felt. They moved on to the small field behind the house. He told her how he planted crops there each season, hoping the land would give back what he put into it. She listened, thinking about her mother's garden and how proud she used to feel when the plants grew strong. "I can help," she said. He looked at her, a bit surprised. "If you want to." "I do," she said. "I don't want to just stay inside. I want to be part of this place." Her words seemed to mean something to him. He nodded, and together they knelt down, touching the soil. He showed her how to pull out small weeds and how to press the dirt back around the young plants. The work was slow, but it felt good. Her hands became dirty, but she did not mind. It made her feel useful, like she was finally leaving her mark on this land. As the day went on, the sun climbed higher. They took a break near the large tree she had seen the day before. She sat in the shade, wiping her hands on a cloth. The rancher handed her a bottle of water, and she thanked him. They talked more than they had before. He told her about his childhood, growing up far from any town, learning to take care of himself and the land. He spoke about the long winters and the quiet nights when the stars were the only company he had. She listened closely, imagining him as a younger man, facing the wide world alone. It made her understand why he valued patience and calm so much. He had learned to live with the land, not fight against it. She shared more of her own story. She told him about her dreams, how she used to imagine seeing places beyond her small village. She talked about how she loved to read stories about faraway lands and brave people who faced hard times and came out stronger. "Maybe this is one of those stories," she said, looking around at the wide fields and the endless sky. He thought about that for a moment. "Maybe it is," he said, "but in this one we write it together." His words stayed with her. They made her feel less like a guest in this life and more like a partner in it. Later in the day, dark clouds began to gather in the distance. The wind picked up, and the air changed. The rancher noticed it right away. "We should get the animals inside," he said. They hurried back to the barn. She felt a rush of energy and a bit of worry as they worked together. He showed her how to guide the horses into their stalls and how to secure the doors. The sky grew darker, and the first drops of rain began to fall. By the time they finished, the rain was coming down hard. They ran back to the house, laughing as their clothes became wet. Inside, they shook off the water and stood near the door, catching their breath. The sound of rain on the roof filled the room. It was loud but comforting, like a steady song. She looked at him and smiled, feeling a sense of shared victory. They had faced the sudden storm together, and it made her feel stronger. As the rain continued, they sat by the table and talked. She asked him what he hoped for in the future. He paused, thinking carefully. "I want this place to feel like a home," he said. "Not just for me, for both of us." She felt her chest tighten, but in a good way. "I want that too," she said. When the rain finally slowed, the air felt fresh and clean. They stepped outside to see the land washed and shining. Puddles reflected the sky, and the grass looked greener than before. As evening came, they prepared another simple meal together. She moved more confidently now, finding the bowls and plates without needing to ask. It felt like a small step, but it meant a lot to her. They ate on the porch, watching the sky change colors once again. The day had been full, but it had also been gentle. She felt tired in a good way, like her body and mind had worked together instead of against each other. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought about everything that had happened. The morning light, the work in the field, the storm, and the laughter. The quiet talks under the tree. Each moment felt like a thread, slowly weaving a new life for her. She realized that her fear was still there, but it was smaller now. It no longer filled her whole heart. In its place, there was something else. Curiosity.
Hope, a growing sense of belonging.
The rancher's words echoed in her mind. We write it together. She liked that idea. It made the future feel less like a path she had to walk alone, and more like a road they would travel side by side. As she drifted off to sleep, the sound of the night returned. The wind, the distant call of an animal, the quiet strength of the land. She felt wrapped in it all, like the ranch itself was slowly accepting her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, she knew. New things to learn, new moments to face. But for the first time since she had arrived, she felt ready. Her story here was no longer just beginning. It was already moving forward, step by step, written in the small, meaningful moments of each day. The third day began with a soft breeze that carried the smell of fresh earth across the ranch. The young bride woke before the sun, her eyes opening to the faint light that touched the edge of the window. For a moment she lay still, listening to the quiet rhythm of the place that was slowly becoming her home. The silence no longer felt strange. It felt familiar, like a gentle friend that stayed close. She rose from the bed and wrapped a light shawl around her shoulders before stepping outside. The air was cool, and the sky was painted in soft shades of blue and gray. She walked toward the fence and rested her hands on the smooth wood, looking out at the wide land. The fields stretched far and open, and she felt a calm she had not known before coming here. Behind her, she heard the door open. The rancher stepped out holding 2 cups of warm drink. He offered one to her, and she took it with a quiet smile. "You're up early," he said. "I couldn't sleep anymore," she replied. "The morning feels too beautiful to miss." They stood together, watching the sun rise. The light slowly spread across the land, turning the grass gold and the sky bright. It felt like the world was waking up just for them. After a while, they went inside to prepare for the day. The rancher told her there was a small town a few miles away where he went once a week for supplies. He asked if she would like to come along. The idea made her both nervous and excited. "I would like that," she said. "I want to see more than just the ranch." They got ready and climbed into the old wagon. The wheels creaked as they rolled down the dirt path that led away from the house. The land changed slowly as they traveled. Fields gave way to scattered trees, and the wide sky seemed to follow them wherever they went. As they moved, she noticed small details she had never seen before. Birds resting on fence posts, a stream that glimmered in the sunlight, the way the wind moved through the leaves like a soft whisper. Each thing felt like a small gift, something the land was sharing with her. When they reached the town, she felt her heart beat faster. It was not large, but it was busy compared to the quiet ranch. People walked along the main road, talking and laughing. Shops stood close together, their windows filled with goods and signs. She held her hands together, unsure of where to look first. The rancher noticed and stayed close to her side. They visited a small store where he picked up food and tools. The shopkeeper greeted them with a friendly nod and a few questions about the weather and the road. The bride listened, feeling like a quiet observer in a world she was just beginning to understand. As they walked through the town, she noticed a group of children playing near a well. Their laughter reminded her of her younger siblings. For a moment, her chest tightened with longing. She missed them, and she wondered how they were doing back home. The rancher saw the look on her face. "Do you want to sit for a bit?" he asked. They found a bench near the edge of the road. She took a deep breath and let her thoughts settle. "I was thinking about my family," she said. "I wonder if they think about me the way I think about them." "I'm sure they do," he replied. "People don't forget those they care about." His words brought her comfort, even if they did not take away the ache completely. On their way back, the sky began to change again. Clouds gathered, but this time they were light and scattered. The sun moved in and out of view, painting the land with shifting colors. When they returned to the ranch, they unloaded the supplies together. She carried small bags, feeling proud that she could help without being told what to do. The rancher watched her with a look that showed quiet appreciation. Later in the day, he suggested they check on a fence at the far end of the property. They walked together, talking about simple things: the weather, the animals, the way the seasons changed the land. When they reached the fence, they saw that a part of it had fallen. The ground nearby showed signs of movement, like something had passed through. The rancher examined it carefully. "Looks like a storm last night weakened the posts," he said. She looked at the broken wood and felt a small worry rise in her. "Can we fix it?" "We can try." They went back to the barn to gather tools and extra pieces of wood. The work was not easy. The ground was hard and the posts were heavy. She struggled at first, her hands slipping on the rough surface. "Take it slow," he said gently. "There's no rush." She followed his advice. Step by step, they worked together. He showed her how to hold the tools, how to steady the post, how to press the dirt back around it to keep it firm. Her arms grew tired and sweat formed on her forehead, but she did not want to stop. When they finally stood back and looked at the repaired fence, a sense of pride filled her. It was not perfect, but it was standing strong. "We did it," she said, a smile spreading across her face. "We did," he agreed. They sat down in the shade of a nearby tree to rest. She wiped her hands and leaned back against the trunk, feeling the cool bark through her clothes.
"I didn't think I could do something like that," she admitted. "You can do more than you think," he said.
"You just needed the chance to try." His words made her think. She had always seen herself as someone who followed, not someone who led or built. But here, on this land, she was discovering new parts of herself. As the afternoon passed, they talked about their hopes. She spoke about wanting to learn how to care for the animals on her own. One day, he talked about improving the house, maybe adding a small porch where they could sit and watch the stars at night. "It would be nice," she said, "a place to sit and think." "Or just sit and be quiet," he added. She laughed softly. "That too." When evening came, the sky turned deep shades of orange and purple. They returned to the house, tired but content. She prepared the meal this time with him nearby in case she needed help. The food was simple, but it felt special because she had made it. They ate together, sharing stories and small moments of laughter. The day had been full, but it had also been gentle, like the ones before it. Later, she stepped outside alone for a moment. The stars were beginning to appear again, bright and countless. She looked up and felt that same sense of being part of something larger. The rancher joined her, standing beside her in quiet company. They did not need to speak. The night said enough. As she went to bed, she felt a growing sense of strength inside her. Each day was teaching her something new, not just about the land, but about herself. She was learning to be brave in small ways, to speak up, to try. She knew there would be hard days ahead, days when the work felt too heavy or the loneliness too strong. But she also knew she would not face them alone. The ranch was no longer just a place she had come to. It was a place she was becoming part of, and in that truth, she found comfort, purpose, and a quiet kind of joy that stayed with her as she drifted into sleep. The fourth day began with a change in the air. The sky was clear, but the wind carried a feeling that something different was coming. The young bride felt it as soon as she stepped outside. The land seemed quiet in a new way, like it was waiting. The rancher was already in the yard, checking the tools near the barn. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Today might be a long one," he said. "There's a lot we need to do before the next weather shift." She nodded, feeling ready. She had learned so much in just a few days, and she wanted to show that she could handle more. They started by cleaning the barn together. She swept the floor while he fixed a loose board on one of the walls. Dust floated in the air and sunlight cut through it in thin lines. It felt like they were working inside a quiet world of their own. As they worked, she thought about how different she felt now compared to the day she arrived. Back then, her hands had trembled when she touched anything unfamiliar. Now, she moved with more confidence. The tools no longer felt heavy in her grip. The space around her felt like it belonged to her too. Later, they moved to the small field. The plants were growing stronger, their leaves reaching toward the sun. She knelt down and touched the soil, feeling proud of the work they had put into it. The rancher pointed out which plants needed more care and which ones were doing well on their own. "You're getting the hang of this," he said. She smiled. "I think the land is teaching me." They took a short break near the tree, sharing a simple meal they had packed. The wind rustled the leaves above them, and the sound was calming. She leaned back and closed her eyes for a moment, letting the world fade into soft noises and warm light. When she opened her eyes, she noticed the rancher looking at the distant hills. His expression was thoughtful. What are you thinking about?" she asked. He hesitated, then spoke. "This place has been my whole life for a long time. I used to think it would always be just me and the land. Now, it feels different." She felt a warmth in her chest.
"Different how? Better," he said simply. The word stayed with her.
Better. It felt like a promise, not just for the land, but for both of them. In the afternoon, they heard the sound of wheels on the dirt road. A small wagon approached the ranch. It was a neighbor from a nearby farm coming to check in. The rancher greeted him, and the bride stood by his side. Feeling, The neighbor smiled and nodded at her. "So, this is the new heart of the place," he said kindly. She did not know what to say, but she smiled back. The words made her feel seen, like she was not just someone passing through, but someone who belonged. They talked for a while about the land, the weather, and the work ahead. The bride listened, learning how the people around the ranch shared knowledge and helped each other when times were hard. It made her feel like she was becoming part of a small, quiet community. When the neighbor left, the rancher turned to her. "You handled that well?" he said. She laughed softly. "I was nervous." "That's okay," he replied. "Being nervous just means you care." As evening approached, clouds began to gather again. This time they were dark and heavy. The wind grew stronger, and the sky dimmed. "We should secure everything," the rancher said. They moved quickly, working side by side. She helped close the barn doors and tie down loose items near the house. The first rumble of thunder rolled across the land, deep and steady. By the time they finished, the storm was close. They rushed inside just as rain began to fall, hard and fast. The sound on the roof was loud, but it did not scare her. It felt powerful, like the land was showing its strength. They sat near the window, watching the rain streak across the glass. She felt a strange mix of excitement and calm. Being inside, safe, while the storm passed, made her appreciate the small house even more. "I used to be afraid of storms," she said.
Me too, he admitted. But after a while, you learn that they don't just take.
"They also give. The land needs the rain." She thought about that. Maybe people were the same. Maybe hard moments could also bring growth. When the storm finally eased, the world outside looked new. The air was fresh and the ground glistened. They stepped onto the porch and breathed in the clean scent of rain. The sky began to clear, and a soft light spread across the land. She felt a deep sense of peace. The day had been full of work, of small challenges, and of quiet understanding. She felt closer to him than ever, not through big words or actions, but through shared time and shared effort. That night, as she lay in bed, she thought about the neighbor's words, the new heart of the place. She did not know if she fully believed it yet, but she felt something growing inside her, a sense that her presence here mattered. She closed her eyes with a small smile. Tomorrow would bring something new, she was sure. And whatever it was, she felt ready to face it, not just as someone living on the ranch, but as someone helping shape its future. The fifth morning arrived quietly, like a soft promise. The sky was clear, and the light felt gentle as it touched the land. The young bride woke with a sense of calm she had not known before coming to the ranch. She sat up in bed and listened to the familiar sounds outside: the wind, a distant call of a bird, the quiet strength of the place she now called home. She dressed and stepped outside. The air was cool, and the world felt fresh, as if it had been washed clean by the storm the night before. The grass sparkled with tiny drops of water, and the sun slowly rose over the hills. The rancher joined her, carrying a small basket. "I thought we could have breakfast out here," he said. They sat near the tree, the same one that had become their place to rest and talk. They shared simple food and warm drink, enjoying the quiet moment. The land stretched around them, wide and open, and for the first time, she did not feel small in it. She felt like she fit. After breakfast, she surprised him. "I want to try something on my own today," she said. He looked at her, curious. "What do you have in mind?" "I want to take care of the animals for the morning," she said. "You can show me if I need help, but I want to try." He nodded, a look of pride in his eyes. "I'll be nearby." She walked to the barn, feeling both excited and nervous. The horses lifted their heads when they saw her. She remembered how he had shown her to move slowly, to speak softly. She followed what she had learned. Step by step, she brushed them, filled their water, and made sure everything was in place. There were moments when she made small mistakes. A bucket tipped over, a brush slipped from her hand. But each time, she laughed instead of feeling upset. She picked things up and tried again. When she finished, she stood back and looked at her work. It was not perfect, but it was hers. She felt a deep sense of pride. The rancher clapped his hand softly. "You did well," he said. Her smile was wide and real. "I couldn't have done it without your teaching." They spent the rest of the morning walking the land. She pointed out places she liked. A small hill where the view was wide and beautiful. A corner of the field where the grass felt softer under her feet. "Maybe we could plant flowers here," she said at one point. He considered it. "I think that's a good idea." The thought of adding something bright and new to the land made her happy. It felt like another way to leave a part of herself here. Later, they went back to the house and worked on a small project together. The rancher had found extra wood and wanted to start building a simple bench for the porch. He showed her how to hold the boards steady while he worked. The sound of tools filled the air, steady and calm. She enjoyed being part of the process, even if her role was small. When the bench was finished, they both sat on it, testing it out. "It works," she said, laughing. "It does," he replied, smiling. They sat there for a while, watching the clouds move across the sky. She felt a sense of comfort she could not put into words. It was not just about the place. It was about the feeling of being seen, of being valued, of being part of something that mattered. In the afternoon, she took time for herself. She sat by the window with a small book she had brought from home. The words on the page felt different now, like they were part of her new life instead of her old one. She read slowly, enjoying the quiet. The rancher worked outside, fixing small things around the yard. From time to time, he looked toward the window and saw her there. The simple sight made him feel at ease. As evening approached, they prepared dinner together. She moved around the kitchen with confidence now, finding what she needed without asking. The rancher noticed and felt a sense of pride. They ate on the porch, the sky turning warm colors once again. The land glowed in the fading light, and the world felt peaceful. After dinner, they stayed outside as the stars began to appear. The bride looked up, just as she had on her first night. But this time, the feeling was different. She did not feel like a stranger under the wide sky. She felt like she belonged beneath it. "I was so afraid when I came here," she said quietly. He nodded.
I remember. I still feel afraid sometimes, she admitted, but it's not the same kind of fear anymore.
"It's more like wondering what comes next." He thought about that. Wonder can be a good thing, he said. It means you're looking forward, not just back. She smiled at his words. They felt true. They sat in silence for a while, letting the night settle around them. The stars were bright, and the land was still. As she went to bed that night, she reflected on everything that had happened since she arrived. The nervous steps off the wagon, the first walk through the fields, the storm, the work, the laughter, the quiet talks. She realized that the ranch was no longer just a place she had come to live. It was a place she was helping to shape, and in doing so, it was shaping her too. Her life here was not perfect. There would be hard days. There would be moments of doubt. But there would also be moments like this, filled with simple joy and deep connection. She closed her eyes, feeling grateful, not just for the land or the house or the quiet nights under the stars, but for the chance to grow, to learn, and to build something real and lasting, one day at a time. Her story did not end there. In many ways, it was only beginning, and for the first time, she felt ready to see where it would lead.